Good day and welcome to the channel. Our focus will be on the 1988 smash hit film Die Hard. This film stars as its lead role Bruce Willis. He plays a New York City police detective called John McClane. This film is probably one of the better 80s action flicks. And there's a question that is always asked about this simply because of the setting of the film, and that is this film actually a Christmas film? Well, to be honest with you, such a question isn't really the subject of the film, but somehow it always gets raised. Now, let us consider 5 things about this film that stand out and make it. So the first thing that we need to mention is the fact that this film, Die Hard, is actually an adaptation of a very popular book written in 1979 called Nothing Lasts Forever, which centers around a guy called, not in this case, John McClane. That is unique to the film, but rather um, Detective Joseph Leland, who is actually retired, unlike John McClane in the film. And there are several other differences between the source of the film and the film itself, such as the fact that it's not his wife that is going to see that is being held hostage, rather his grown daughter. But nonetheless, it is important to note that this is just what is going on. This film is an adaptation of this book called Nothing Lasts Forever. So, what can we say about this film? Sorry, this book. The characters in the book are actually, as we've just noted, Joseph Leland, an aging retired New York police detective and World War II veteran. His daughter, who is estranged from him, who is an important Clarkson oil executive called Stephanie Gennaro. There are other people like Anton, the little Tony the Red Gruber, instead of the character in the film called Hans Gruber. Al Powell is a young Los Angeles police sergeant that is in charge. Dwayne Robson is a deputy chief of the Los Angeles Police. Cole is the second in command of Gruber's men. Mr. Rivers, the president of Claxon and Stephanie's boss, and Harry Ellis. This gives us a kind of important background to this book that the film is an adaptation of. Let us now turn to the second thing in our consideration, and that is the cast of the actual film, Die Hard. Obviously, we've already noted Bruce Willis as John McClane, the lead character. The next person in line, as I mentioned in the previous point, who in the book is actually called Anton Gruber, but the film changes it to Hans Gruber. This character is played by the late Alan Rickman, who, as you may well know, has been in very many films over the years since this point. Love Actually, He's been in all 7 adaptations of the Harry Potter book series, and various. Now we come to another important person, and I'll tell you why in a moment. The character Theo, Gruber's tech specialist, played by Clarence Gilyard. Now, why is this guy important? He's been in several other films over the years. Karate Kid Part 2, he was in that, and several other films, but he was also in Madlock, I think it's called. Matlock or something like that. But his well-known character and the well-known TV series he's been in, he played Jimmy Trevette in the Chuck Norris series called Walker, Texas Ranger. And so there's the immediate cast, some important people to mention. Let us now turn to our third consideration, and this is a double header, 2 points in one. So let us look at the director, who is who is named John McTiernan. This guy has a well-established film career as a director. He has directed many films over the years, including the following 3. Predator in 1987, which of course starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hunt for Red October in 1990, and that starred Sean Connery. And Thomas Crown Affair in 1999, which starred another James Bond, this time Pierce Brosnan. Then we can look at the second line of evidence for this point, and that is the producer. This guy's named Joel Silver. He's had a very long career as a producer, and he has such films under his belt as the following ones. 48 Hours in 1982, which starred Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Commando in 1985. This one was another film that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Roadhouse in 1989, which starred Patrick Swayze as the lead character. So these 2 lines of evidence actually put forth a really good case that this is actually a great film to watch. Now, that does not mean that it's everyone's cup of tea, but it still stands out as a great film for anyone to watch, whether you're a Bruce Willis fan or just a general action film fan. It is one that can be watched. And with these 2 people, John McTiernan and Joel Silver at the hem and helm of the film in terms of its direction and production value, it stands as a great film to consider. Let's come to the fourth point, and this is kind of an external validation of why this film is a great one. And that would be the budget and the income that was gathered through the box office and its release. So the budget is from anywhere between 25 to 35 million. And that is quite a substantial amount for a film, and it actually shows how much this film actually meant to everyone involved. Now, what about the income or the profit? Well, the overall figure stands at 139 million to 141 million. Let us consider for a brief moment some of the statistics of this film. So, in North America, the film received a limited release in 21 theaters in 13 cities on July 15th, 1988. So a very small amount of theaters, 21, earning 601,851, an average of 28,659 per theatre. It was considered a successful debut with a high per theatre average gross. So that just stands out to show you basically how well it done in the first period of time it was out. So next, it received a wide release the following week on the 22nd of 88. Sorry, the 22nd of the 7th, 88, across 1,276 theatres, earning 7.1 million, an average of 5,569 per theatre. The film finished as the number 3 film of the weekend behind Coming to America. It earned 8.8 million in its fourth week of release. That would be Coming to America. Who Framed Roger Rabbit the same year, 8.89 million. In his fifth, so there's some more important statistics. But overall, it done really well. So the summer of 1988 saw box office grosses of 1.7 billion, breaking the previous year's record-breaking summer for 100 million. I could go on just to go through all of these statistics, but it's kind of not really important. The important point is that from that initial 25 to 35 million budget, it gained back 141 billion, which is a huge and significant income for the film of almost 100 million, or perhaps just over. The fifth and final thing that we can consider, and it will be very brief, is the fact of the sequels. Now, seeing how well this film done in its original context, the fact that it brought in 100 million more than its budget, that greenlighted sequels. So the first one that came was Die Hard 2, 2 years later in 1990. The third one was Die Hard with a Vengeance in 1995. The next one, the fourth one, was Live Free and Die Hard in 2007, and the final one, the fifth one, was A Good Day to Die Hard in 2013. So I do believe that each of these films were great and should merit their own time, but unfortunately, that isn't going to be the case at the moment. But what I will say is that what we see here, just like in other films where there were sequels, there is a large amount of time between each of the sequels. Firstly, beginning with only 2 years, then another 5, then 13,